All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Jermell Charlo, Terence Crawford, and also a little bit of Tszyu. Big fight coming up, I do believe, in January, and talk to some friends, boxing experts, who pointed out that Terence Crawford didn't just duck ERROL Spence, but Jermell Charlo too. Man, hilarious stuff, but so I definitely had to share it in the video. But so let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video we are going to be in the 147 and 54 pound divisions, speaking about two of the best fighters in boxing. One guy I have currently as my number 2 pound for pound fighter, another guy that I used to have at number 1, but I got to set him off to the side until, until some things change out there, man. I just got him on timeout. Didn't take him off the list, really, but I put him on the pound for pound timeout list. And that is the number 2 is Jermell Charlo. Former number 1, who's now on my pound for pound timeout list, is Terence Crawford. Now, before I get into what I was told about it, I tell you, I had a wonderful conversation, man. I love boxing. In this conversation, somebody reminded me, hey, man, you remember Jermell Charlo, though, right? Because Terence Crawford did not only say that he was going to fight ERROL Spence Jr. and what he was going to do to him and didn't do it, he also talked about what he was going to do with Jermell Charlo, and all of a sudden that has disappeared as well. But all the better, because in either one of those scenarios, Terence was about to take that L, and he knows it. Now, before I get into the subject matter of it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber, supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really, really does mean a lot. Now, if you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. So let's get into this. Jermell Charlo will be returning to the ring in January. I do believe it's January 7th was the date that I heard. Outside chance that it's February, but within the first 2 months of the year, Jermell Charlo will be back in the ring, and he will be defending his undisputed title, the WBO, WBA, IBF, and WBC 154 pound belts, against Tszyu out of Australia, who I do believe is his IBF. I believe he's his IBF mandatory. But a fighter that is coming off a win against Terrell Gauchau, good fighter, the son of Tszyu, but somebody that I suspect is going to be a victim of Jermell Charlo. And I think it is probably the easiest fight that Jermell Charlo has had in a while. But yet a good fighter who really has a chance. I believe his only real chance to win that fight is to win by knockout. I don't see that happening if it's not going to take place from Jermell. So after that fight takes place, then Jermell should be open to fight a guy that said, if you remember, he said, if I cannot get the ERROL Spence Jr. fight, I'm moving up to 140 pounds, 154 pounds to fight Jermell Charlo. Now, I have a very good friend that is, I really do respect his boxing knowledge, except for in this particular circumstance, he had to eat a little crow because he was someone that was predicting that Terence Crawford would beat ERROL Spence Jr., and he laid out why he thought that Terence Crawford would beat ERROL Spence Jr. I actually had done a video about it for people that thought that I never said a good word about Terence Crawford, but I did. He had also successfully picked some other wins, so definitely a guy that I had a lot of respect for. But since Terence Crawford did not take the fight with ERROL Spence Jr., he kind of co-signed what was said by Gervonta Davis. And what Gervonta Davis said was, look, man, if he was really confident that he was going to beat ERROL Spence Jr., he would have taken that offer. This man paid attention to the same things that I paid attention to, understand what we knew, what we didn't know. But at the end of the day, agreed, hold on, man, this guy went on ahead and fought David Avenation and not Errol Spence Jr., when the man said that if I don't fight Errol Spence Jr., I'm going to move up and fight Jermell Charlo. So seeing as he didn't fight Errol, he does not believe that he's going to do the same thing and go up there and fight Jermell Charlo. Now, people could say, well, does he have the ability to fight Jermell Charlo? Yes, he does have the ability to fight Jermell Charlo, because after he gets done beating up David Avenation, he is still the WBO super champion. So he will have the ability to move up in weight and immediately get a mandatory shot against the WBO champion, who more than likely will be Jermell Charlo, after he beats Tszyu. Now, will he do this? If he is not willing to fight Errol Spence Jr., there ain't no way he's going to go up there and fight Jermell Charlo, because Jermell Charlo has every advantage that Errol Spence Jr. has over Terence Crawford. Jermell Charlo has the same advantages in spades, except for the fighting style. But one of the things, and that is the volume, even in the volume punching, and the fact that he really, really does press the action. But you're fighting a guy that is roughly the same age. Exactly, Jermell Charlo is younger, I do believe, because he's the same age as Errol. So he's 32 years old. So he's about 2-3 years younger than Terence Crawford. He has a longer reach than Terence Crawford. He is bigger than Terence Crawford. He hits harder than Terence Crawford. And on top of it, he is somebody that has consistently been in the ring at a very, very top level. A very, very top level at that weight class by beating guys like fighting. Now you'll have to say, because he definitely lost the first fight with Tony Harrison, but fighting Tony Harrison twice, I don't think he lost it. When I say he definitely lost it, I mean that he lost his belt. I would have scored the fight for Jermell Charlo, or I would have called it a draw. But whatever the case, he proved that he could handle that style, make adjustments. He winds up beating Jason Rosario, big punching Jason Rosario, figured him out, wound up, Jason Rosario may go down as being a bit of a Julius Ndungo type of win. But hey, man, if you're going to give Terence Crawford credit for being undisputed for beating Julius Ndungo, you got to do the same thing for Jason Rosario, because their career pretty much panned out to be the same way. You know, after they had gotten their hands on 2 belts, they turn around, fight, fight Jermell and Terence respectfully and lost. So you got to give him the credit. If you give Terence the credit, you got to give Jermell the credit. But then he goes and he fights Brian Castano, an undefeated Brian Castano, who is a very, very difficult fighter to beat, because he's just so conservative with his defense is very, very hard to crack his defense. He's a strong fighter and he's a very, very good counter puncher. But he winds up pretty much after making adjustments after maybe the 4th round of the first fight. And I think he wound up winning out all the way through that draw and through the fight after that. So my guy was like, yeah, man, I have to agree with you on this one. I don't really think if he is that concerned about money and the money and all of that stuff related to Errol, he's definitely feeling some way about fighting Errol Spence Jr. I don't think he's going to actually fight Errol Spence Jr. And so if that's the case, don't expect him to follow through on that fight with Jermell Charlo. And because I think he's going to settle with his one undisputed title that he has at 140, which is a lot, and say he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. Now, but it is going to be interesting, because Terence has got, a rock and a hard place, and he's between a rock and a hard place and a very, very low ceiling, because if he doesn't fight Errol Spence Jr. in the next fight, that mandatory is going to come up, and the more than likely that WBO mandatory is going to be Jerron. If he drops his belt and moves up, then he's going to be dealing with all those dudes up there at 140 pounds. And if he pushes to get the fight with Jermell, Jermell may be harder on him than either Errol or Jerron is. So anyways, just interesting situation. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.